Good evening, I'm Patricia Vallone with a CTV News update. Annapolis High School was put on lockdown this morning after several fights broke out inside the building. School officials say 2 people were cut with a knife and were taken to area hospitals. The injuries are said to be non-life-threatening. It happened just before 9 this morning as students were transitioning between first and second period. 7 students have been charged in connection with the fights. Investigators say a school resource officer disarmed 1 student with a knife. Domestic violence cases are on the rise in Prince George's, according to the Family Justice Center. The agency says it's helped about 1,800 survivors this past year. Sadly, some victims don't survive. One of the most recent incidents occurred on September 16th in this Upper Marlboro community. Police say 38-year-old Deontay Sims fatally shot his fiancée in the 12,400 block of Cicely Court. Now, Family Justice Center Director Denise McCain suggests that victims of abuse confide in someone and be prepared to leave right away.
You may not be able to call. However, you could ask them to periodically check on you. We tell people to have a code word, to say something like, hey, I'm looking for that recipe for lasagna. That would be an indication that you need help. With COVID and with, people we were telling them when they were at home and couldn't get out to do things inconspicuously, such as maybe leave a window shade up or crooked, so that a neighbor perhaps would recognize that that is the sign that I need to intervene and help.
The Family Justice Center provides a slew of services for survivors of domestic violence. For more information, call 301-780-8008. Well, should students be required to roll up their sleeves and get the COVID-19 vaccine? It continues to be a hot-button issue. CTV's Katira Jones has more.
As COVID-19 cases climb inside the classroom, a state senator from Howard County sounds off on whether Governor Hogan should require eligible students to get vaccinated.
I think it's certainly an option that the state should be looking at.
Many jurisdictions, including Prince George's County, have required student athletes to get the shots or undergo weekly testing. State Senator Clarence Lamb, who is also a physician, says vaccines can be required under Maryland state law.
When the school systems look at the law, it's not 100% clear, I think, that they have the authority to be able to do this. I think they can. But it's much clearer in the law that the Maryland Department of Health and the Secretary have the ability to require certain types of vaccines of students before they begin school.
Lamb says just like the state requires students to get MMR shots and the hepatitis vaccine before beginning school, the COVID vaccine should also be required. He also says a statewide approach to addressing COVID-19 in schools is necessary.
I think when you start breaking it up by jurisdiction, we recognize that that's not the most effective way of combating COVID because the virus knows no borders. The virus doesn't follow artificial geographic or political boundaries that are man-made.
State Senator Lamb sits on a joint COVID-19 legislative panel. Katira Jones, CTV News.
Meantime, at least one Prince George's delegate thinks it's time to look at statewide vaccine protocols in Maryland schools. More than 4,000 students and nearly 700 staffers statewide have tested positive for the coronavirus since the academic year began. More than 16,500 students and just under 800 faculty have had to quarantine from close contact with a COVID-19 case. Delegate Jazz Lewis says if jurisdictions are mandating other vaccines in school, creating a statewide policy is worthy of a discussion.
Historically, it is normal for students to be vaccinated in order to go to school. And I think if, particularly when we're talking about protecting faculty and staff, it just makes things easier if you know that everyone is vaccinated. I know the department has some tough things to figure out. I think there's a difference between requiring, mandating, encouraging, right? But my place is that everyone should be vaccinated.
Montgomery County Public Schools just released their COVID numbers for the first month of school. 350 positive cases were reported. That amounts to about 10% of the county's total cases during that time. Schools opened 3 weeks ago in Prince George's. There have been more than 255 cases since then. Many of those school-based cases have included multiple people. Well, here are the latest COVID-19 numbers. The state health department has confirmed 1,125 new cases. Of those, 123 were in Prince George's. The county's positivity rate is 4.05%, which is slightly higher than the state's positivity rate. 13 people have died from the disease since yesterday. 775 remain in the hospital. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. Still ahead, it's called the Ella, a new health facility coming to Prince George's. Stay with us.
Every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. With your help, we can end breast cancer. We are all stronger together.
Welcome back. The Black and Missing Foundation says nearly 40% of all missing person cases involve people of color, yet many don't receive widespread media coverage. Tonight, we continue our conversation with a local organization that's hoping to change this disparity.
I was speaking to my coworker about sex trafficking that exists. Is that a case in some of these missing persons cases?
It is a huge issue, and it's an issue that's happening right here in our own backyard. You know, oftentimes when people think of human trafficking, they're thinking about it happening abroad, but it's happening right here. And quite frankly, what we have seen is an uptick in our numbers. Ever since the pandemic started, these children were forced to learn online. That was a predator's playground. So we've had a lot of cases where children have gone missing as a result of human trafficking because they've been lured online.
What can loved ones do to protect their children from being sex trafficked?
We have to have those uncomfortable conversations. You know, we have to sit down and talk to them. We have to be nosy. So we can't be our children's friend. We have to be their parent. We need to see who they're communicating with. We need to check their phones, see what apps are downloaded, because these children are so tech savvy, and so are these predators that are luring these children. They're on these gaming platforms, they're in these gaming systems, and they're online on social media. And so with our organization, we're using the social media platforms to get the message out there, but the predators are using it to lure them in. So we look at social media as a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing for us to get these stories out there because not every case is going to bubble up to mainstream media. Not every case is going to make the 5 and 10 o'clock news cycle. However, social media has been very vital in getting these cases out there. So that's why it's a blessing for us. The curse is parents and family members are putting their loved ones out there. They're being victimized. You know, they're being scammed. And so we've had a lot of families to receive calls, ransom calls. They've exhausted their life savings, you know, just following along with these callers who are scamming them. And then we see that these children are being targeted online. They're putting so much information. So that is the curse behind social media.
Okay, and let's go back a little bit. I understand you said you started out in law enforcement. So why create the Black and Missing Foundation?
The inspiration behind the organization was a young lady by the name of Tamika Houston. She went missing from my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina in 2004. Months later, Natalie Holloway disappeared, and despite the fact that Tamika's aunt was in media relations, she still struggled to garner local coverage, much less national coverage. And so during that time, I was talking to my sister-in-law, Natalie, who's in public relations, and with my background in law enforcement, we decided to do research. And why not us? Because we wanted to be the change that was needed in our community. Instead of waiting on someone else, we needed to help our community. We needed to help us find us.
The Black and Missing Foundation has helped to bring closure to about 400 missing persons cases. A special groundbreaking was held this morning that will increase the county's health care footprint. Angela Alsobrooks and other county leaders took part in the ceremony. Now, construction will begin soon on the 125,000 square foot facility called the Ella at Carillon. Adjacent to the new hospital center, the Ella will be a center for health and wellness that will house medical office space. The facility is part of a mixed-use, multi-phase development.
first thing that we must focus on, and one of the major priorities of this administration, is making sure that we are investing in the health of the people who are here. The Caroline and Ella helps us to do that, to make sure that we learn, even during this pandemic, how important it is for us to have access to primary health care. We understand what happens when we don't. And so the Ella allows us to take care of people.
And the Ella is expected to open in 2022. Well, Prince George's gets a new upgraded equipment to better sort plastics at its recycling facility. The Department of the Environment held a ribbon-cutting ceremony yesterday for the equipment, which took 6 months to install. The new system contains 3 new optical sorting units, an elliptical separator, and a new plastic sorting line.
The critical component is the optical sorters, which utilize light and air to separate plastics into further defined products.
What we make here are raw materials. Basically, we need to take the stream that comes in and break it up into different commodities that can be sold to market. Previously, we were making a 1 through 7 bale that required additional processing. This upgrade allows us to make individual bales of number 1 PET or number 2 HDPE that can go directly to market.
In the past, we've produced at this facility 1 mixed bale of plastic. We're now able to produce 4 additional bales as a result of the new equipment and upgrades that we have here at the facility.
What this does is it overall reduces the cost of waste diversion, because the higher priced plastics are now bundled. They're separate. We can guarantee to our buyers that they're getting one type of plastic, which means that we can sell those on the market at a much higher rate than we could sell them when we just had a bundle of a bunch of different plastics.
The last updates to the sorting equipment happened in 2007 when the county transitioned to a single stream system to collect recyclable materials. Still to come here on CTV News, we check in with our Pet of the Week. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us. Well, Governor Larry Hogan has announced an appointment to the Maryland House of Delegates. Longtime political activist Cheryl Landis has been appointed to represent District 23B. She replaces former Delegate Ronald Watson, who had been appointed to the state Senate. Landis spent 30 years with the county school system. She was nominated for the position by the Prince George's County Democratic Central Committee. Well, a perfect feline is looking for her forever home. This is Lily, and she is our Pet of the Week. Lily is a 1-year-old domestic short-haired cat. She came to Animal Management back in August with her 7 kittens. Now, Animal Management says Lily is a sweet cat and would make a great pet for any family.
All she wants is to be loved on and petted consistently. I will say she will either have to be the only cat in the home, or a cat with FIV as well can be in the home. She is FIV positive. It is nothing horrible, just means that her immune system is weaker than a normal healthy cat. So she's more susceptible to getting sick, but she can live a full, happy life.
For more information on Lily or any of her 4-legged friends, you can contact Animal Management at 301-780-7201. And now let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, clear with a low around 52 degrees. Thursday and Friday, sunny with daytime temps in the low 70s. Saturday, sunny with a high near 77. And for your community calendar, join members from the Greater Riverdale Thrives Community Coalition for its fall cleaning. Now, the group is teaming up with the community to complete beautification projects. Participants can expect to plant trees, clean up litter, and do much more. The first event is October 1st at 3 p.m. at the East Pines Garden Community. This is a perfect opportunity for students to earn public service hours. For more dates and locations, visit greatriverdalethrives.org. And that wraps up our newscast. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Patricia Villa, and have a great evening.